Welcome to Yoga with Katie. Today we're going to be doing a modified Ashtanga primary series geared towards beginners, but with some advanced options. My guide that I personally love is Ashtanga Yoga by David Swenson. This is a good practice manual, so it has all the information on how to perform the Ashtanga series. So we're going to do a modified sequence today. And today I recommend 2 blocks. That way the floor can become closer to you. If you do not have blocks, maybe some really big books. And I recommend them setting up near the top of your mat on either side. That way you have easy access. We practice yoga safely here, so please be aware of your surroundings and please be aware of the sensations in your body. You know your body and your limits and your edges, and we respect that. Let's go ahead and get started standing at the top of the mat. So feet are hip width distance, and you're going to lift all your toes up, spread them as wide as they can. Starting with your pinky toe, drop them back down to the floor so they're nice and spread, almost like monkey toes. Maybe even shift your weight forward and back, side to side, so you feel all 4 corners of the feet. We're trying to find that center of balance, almost like you're standing on a Wii Fit board when they would measure your center of balance. That's exactly what we're doing. When you're ready, let's roll the shoulders up, back, and then down like you're plugging the shoulders into your back pockets. Fingers reach for the floor, palms are forward, very active in the hands. Chin is lifted to meet the horizon, just to dip it down below to find a nice long back of the neck. And we close the eyes to start. Last Ashtanga video that I practiced or taught was we went over Ujjayi breath, and that is a vocalized, constricted at the back of the throat breath, breathing in and out through the nose. And I like to teach it by inhaling through the nose. And then as you exhale through the mouth, imagine you're fogging up a window. So we'll try it together. Inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, fog the window. Again, inhale. Open the mouth. Keep the sound, now the mouth is closed. Inhale. Exhale through the nose. Again, inhale through the nose. Ujjayi out the nose. Keeping that breath, using it as a form of meditation today to constantly bring your awareness back onto the mat, back to your breath, back to being centered. We're going to move through our sun salutation A twice. First time is going to be nice and slow. When you're ready, open the eyes, inhale, arms up, option for a back bend here. Exhale, forward fold. Today I recommend bending the knees here, maybe pedaling it out, swaying side to side. Now as we go through our sun salutations A and B, if you notice that is too much up and down for you in the head, you have some modifications. You can skip down dog altogether. You can maybe keep your head lifted as best you can. But we're trying to be aware that we're not giving ourselves a headache. When you're ready, shift your weight into your toes, hands plant on the floor, long spine. This is our half lift. We're thinking tailbone all the way out through the top of the head is one long line. Exhale, relax back down, plant the hands, step back into your plank. Modification is knees down. Exhale, lower to the belly. Roll the shoulders back. Modification is cobra, knees down. Upward facing dog is knees lifted. Exhale, downward facing dog or just tabletop. In your down dog, we're thinking entire palm presses into the mat. Specifically, your pointer finger and thumb are really gripping your mat. Shoulders down the back, even rotated under a little bit. Tailbone pointing up to the sky. Heels reaching for the floor. It's okay if your knees are bent here. Look forward. Step your hands forward. Fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, lower back down. Bend the knees greatly. You're going to imagine you're pulling your feet apart so much so you could rip your mat in half. That activates your outer hips, protecting your lower back as you reverse swan dive to stand up tall. Arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do it again. One breath, one movement. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant the hands, step back to your modification or plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Upward facing or cobra. Downward facing dog or tabletop. Exhale. One breath here. Look forward. Take your feet to your hands at the top of the mat, half lift. Exhale, lower to bend the knees. Activate the hips, stand up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Making sure your feet are hip width distance. Inhale, return the arms back up. Let's do our sun B. Send the hips back, arms up, chair pose. Traditionally, palms touch. We're looking at the thumbs. Weight now is in the heel, so much so that you could lift your toes. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, Ardha. Plant the hands, step, maybe jump back if you're feeling confident, Chaturanga. Upward facing is Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog is Adho Mukha Svanasana. Wonderful. Taking your right foot, stepping it forward between the hands. Pivot your back heel down and inhale, stand up tall. This is warrior one. We're being mindful of that back knee. You're thinking about your hips pointing forward, but realistically, they're going to be canted off to the side a little bit. Arms are long and lifted. Wonderful. Exhale, hands to the floor, step back plank. Or knees down. Take your modifications if you need them. Downward facing dog. Left leg gets a turn. Go ahead and squeeze that knee to your nose just to add that little crunch to step your foot forward. Back heel pivots down. Inhale, arms up. Being mindful of your hips and your back knee. Your back foot's at about a 45-degree angle. Big breath in. On the exhale, find a flow. Hands to the floor, step back. Modification looks like this, lowering to the belly. Lifting the heart. Maybe coming back here. When you're ready, you're going to take your feet to your hands. Half lift, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Chair pose, hips back, arms up. We're thinking long in the lower back. Not rounded, not overly extended. Nice long spine. Press through the heels, stand up. Exhale, hands through heart center. One more time. It's one breath, one movement. Here we go. Arm sweep up, maybe back bend. Chair pose. Utkatasana. Forward fold. Uttanasana. Half lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Plant the hands. Step or jump back for your Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana is your inhale. Adho Mukha, exhale. Wonderful. Your right foot steps forward, back heel down. One breath this time. Inhale for up. Exhale to come back down. We're building heat. Step back if you're feeling really good. Maybe you keep your right leg up as you Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward facing. Left leg gets a turn. Step it forward. Back heel down. One breath to lift. One breath to lower. Maybe left leg stays lifted. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward facing. Take a breath. We're gripping with the hands. Look forward. Step, jump, float forward. Half lift. Forward fold. Bend the knees. Chair pose. Utkatasana. Inhale, stand up tall. Hands to heart center. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and do my favorite forward fold. You're going to hinge at the hips. Slide your hands underneath the feet. So palms of the hands and the feet touch. Relax the head down. You're shifting the weight into the toes, so you can maybe massage the wrists here. Elbows wide. Imagine you pulling your nose to your knees. Head is heavy, neck is long. One more breath. Keep the hands half lift. Exhale, release the hands, bend the knees, activate the hips, stand up tall. Wonderful. Go and take your hands to your hips, stepping your left foot back. Your back foot's at that 45-degree angle. Front heel is in line with the back arch. We're going to do our triangle pose. So you're going to hinge at the hips, stick that booty back. We're imagining this top hip is rotated down a little bit and your bottom booty cheek is pointing back behind you, almost like you're at a 70s disco, right? From here, you're going to open your arms wide, and this is where a block could come in handy. Nice and tall. We're thinking long in the underside body. Being mindful of this front knee. We're activating the quad. We're lifting that kneecap up. Finding a micro bend in that front leg as well. One more breath. Inhale, stand up tall. Step to the top of the mat. Go ahead and switch. Right foot back. Feet are in alignment. One long line from the front heel to the back arch. Arms wide. Kick that booty back. Top hip rotates down. Bottom booty cheek pointing behind. All you're doing is opening the chest. Pause for the breath. Traditionally, we're looking up at our top thumb. If that's too much on your neck, you can look forward or down even. Use your inhale in your core. You stand back up to the top of the mat. Wonderful. Switch your feet. Left foot steps back again. Imagine your feet are on their own little railroad tracks, right? You're not stacking one directly behind the other. They have their own lanes. And I want you to hinge at the hips, bow forward, but now it becomes a twist. So that left hand is down, right arm is up. You're pulling your right hip back, left hip forward, and trying your best to get that sacrum as flat as it can. Maybe even taking your hand and feeling that lower back. How flat is it? Is it hiked up to one side? Just noticing what's happening there and rotating that top shoulder open. Again, being mindful of this front knee. On the exhale, come back, chest to floor, hands to hips, stand up tall. Step to the top of the mat, switch your feet. Feet in their own lanes. Back foot is turned out slightly. Hips are pointing forward. Hinge. Right hand down, left arm either up or stays on that lower back, and you're kind of playing around with the alignment. Left hip back, right hip forward, but keeping it flat. So imagine this block is your pelvis, right? There's so many different angles it can reach. We're trying to get it as flat and as square as we can. Control the breath. On the exhale, bring that chest towards the floor. Hands to the hips, stand up tall, step to the top of the mat. Switching feet, left foot back. Let's go ahead and take our hands to the floor. Runner's lunge, just to transition. Pivot your back heel down. Your right hand's going to go on the inside of that right leg. Option for block here as well. When you're ready, you're going to open your chest out towards me, and top arm reaches up and then overhead. So your arm and your leg are pushing against each other to open that chest. Maybe even press the knife edge of that back foot down onto the floor. On the exhale, hand returns to the floor. Go ahead and step back and switch legs. If that means you need to transition through table, that's fine. When you're ready, you come up onto your toes just to pivot that back heel down. Left hand on the inside of that front leg. And we're opening out the chest, bicep next to the ear. Now, I have seen some people put their hand on the outside of that leg. I personally, my preference, prefer it on the inside. That way my leg is giving my arm leverage to open the chest nice and wide. Big breath in. Exhale, hands to the floor. Wonderful. Go ahead and switch those feet again. Right foot forward, left leg back. Let's pause here in a low lunge. Hands in prayer fashion. You're going to twist. Hook your left elbow on the outside of that right knee. Palms together, and then you push your palms together to lift the chest, imagining those palms are now in the center of the heart. This could be enough and you stay. If you'd like, maybe tuck the back toes and lift the back leg. Pause here. 2 breaths. To come out of it, you lower that back knee. Hands to the floor, switching sides. Left foot forward. Hips are forward. We're coming up. Hands in prayer fashion. Hooking now the right elbow on the outside of the left knee. You really get that tricep on there. Press the hands so that they're in the center of the heart as best you can. Option to stay here with knee down. Maybe you lift your back leg. The next time you exhale, drop that back knee, hands return to the floor. Let's move that block out of the way, and let's do a vinyasa to get some movement. Step back to your plank or modified plank. Lower to the belly or chaturanga. Roll the shoulders back, heart forward. Downward facing dog. Look forward, step or jump forward. Half lift. Lower. Bend the knees. Flat back, stand up tall. Awesome. Hands to hips. Go ahead and step your feet out to the side, straddle. We're going to do 2 versions of our straddle today. Let's go ahead and start with hands on the hips. Inhale, we're thinking puff up the chest, squeeze your elbows behind you, hinge from your hips, bow forward. Let the head hang. Now hands right here, this is option 1. If you'd like to come up and try the other options, another one is catching elbows. Another option is reverse prayer. You start with pinky fingers together, and then you roll your palms to touch. Wherever you are, we're thinking hinging, head reaching for the floor. On your inhale, we're going to bend the knees like we do to stand up. Flat back, stand up tall. Awesome. Our second option is going to be a yogi grip. So you're going to take your pointer and your middle finger, and you're going to loop it under your big toe. And then I like to use my thumb as like a kickstand. You're going to pull up on your toes with your hands, but resist it by pushing the toes back down into the floor. Relax the head towards the floor. Shoulders are down the back. Elbows are wide. Weight is in the toes. This shape is very active. 2 breaths here. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Wonderful. Hands to the hips, bend the knees, stand up tall. Cool. Stepping to the top of the mat, let's balance. Hug the knee into the chest. We're imagining roots growing out of the bottom of the foot, tall through the top of the head, and you're looking at something that's not moving. Let's go ahead and switch our grip to under the thigh, keeping your right hip down. See if you can kick to straighten that leg. Full breath in. Can you keep the height? Exhale. Take your hands up to the sky. You're using that hip flexor to keep that leg tall. Toes are pointed up. You're nice and strong. Try your best not to lean back. Shoulders are stacked over your hips. Exhale, release that foot to the floor. Cool, let's try again. Bring that knee into the chest. You're using this to find your balance. Interlace the hands under that hamstring. Kick that leg tall. We're thinking long in the left side body, so you're not hiking that hip up. Keep it down. Shoulders stacked over the hips. Gracefully let go of that leg. How high can you keep it? We're reaching everything up and tall. We're thinking so tall, growing like a tree. One last little push. Exhale, release that foot to the floor. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and have a seat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, option to grab your blocks if you're practicing jump throughs. You're going to place them roughly about a block and a half away from the top of the mat. Go ahead and step back to your plank or your chaturanga, or your knees down, modified plank. Go ahead and chaturanga. Upward facing with the blocks or cobra. Downward facing dog. Awesome. To do a nice slow step through, you might need to spread those blocks a little bit wider than normal, and that's fine. But we're going to look forward, and you're going to pick one foot. I prefer my right foot forward, but you're going to slide it through, preferably the top of the foot, and then the other one follows behind it. As you bring them through, the blocks helps keeps your hips lifted. That way you have the space to bring those legs forward and through. Now that is quite a lot. Jumping forward is a little bit easier than jumping back, but we'll get there. While we're here, go ahead and pull your booty flesh back so your sit bones are pressing into the floor. Inhale, tall. Exhale, fold. We're making this shape a little bit more relaxing today. Option to round the spine. Relax the head. When you inhale, sit up tall. Taking those hands behind you, point the toes, squeeze your legs together, lift the hips for a reverse plank if this is too much. Plant the feet, lift the hips. Chest is as high as it can get, hips are as high as it can get. One big breath in, exhale, have a seat. Let's do one more. Go ahead and slide your blocks closer to your hips. I want you to press your hands into the blocks without gripping it, fingers over the edge. You're going to press your heels down into the floor, tuck your core in and up, tuck your chin down and back, and press into the blocks. So much so that maybe you literally lift off the floor. Maybe you just find the movement. Now this shape doesn't look like a whole lot, but everything is pulling and active. This will also help you with your jump throughs. Exhale, release. Let's try that shape, but now without the blocks. Same thing. Legs are active. Their heels are pulling down and back. Your belly is pulling in and up. You're squeezing through that pelvis. Your chin is tucked down and back. Hands are pressing into the floor. And then you press into the floor so much, maybe you think about lifting. Ujjayi. Wonderful. Release that. Taking those blocks where you believe they were before. And here's how I like to do it. I like to rock back so I have some momentum to plant my hands into the block, step my feet back, maybe jump back to that plank or modified plank. So all I did today was just step 1, then 2 feet back. Chaturanga, upward facing, downward facing. Let's jump through again. Looking forward. This time we're thinking knees tuck in as tight as they can to the chest. You're pressing your blocks away that your back is rounded. You sweep your legs through, kick them forward, have a seat. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and bring your right foot towards the inner thigh. Same thing, we're going to hinge at the hips, so nice tall spine. Reach it forward. Nice, easy, relaxed shape as well. One more big breath in. Exhale, release. Switching directly to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. After this, we're going to do 2 more shapes before our Shavasana. Inhale, sit up tall. And we're going to do different versions of Navasana. That's our boat pose. So option 1 is hands under the thighs, feet planted into the floor. We're not going to use our blocks anymore. Go ahead and puff up your chest, and you're pulling your heels back behind you. Option 1. Option 2 is maybe hands behind. Maybe you float your feet. If this feels good and your back is long and your chest is lifted, maybe you reach those arms forward. Your next option is legs long, so kicking the heels up to the sky. Again, your hands can come behind. If you're feeling really good, arms reach forward. Final option is our yogi grip. So you're going to take your pointer fingers again, wrap them around the toes, and you're going to press the heels up to the sky. If this feels good and you feel balanced, your final step is pulling the toes towards the face. Full breath in, whatever shape you've chosen, control the breath out. One more inhale to prepare. Exhale, kindly release. Go ahead and scoot your hips to the middle of the mat, and we'll lay down for the first time. We're going to do 1 round of bridge pose. And so for bridge, we're going to keep our heels in line with our hips, knees in line with that as well. So imagine your legs are 2 parallel mountains. You're going to tuck your pelvis so that your core engages. That presses your lower back into the floor. Keeping that engagement, roll the hips up to the sky. You've got a few options for your arms. 1 is just hands on the floor. Option 2 is grabbing your mat and ripping it apart. What that does is it gives you room to tuck your shoulders a little bit more. Option 3 is just interlacing the fingers, maybe getting palms to touch. Be mindful of your neck here. We're not tucking our chin too much or looking side to side. You're pressing into the heels so much, your glutes are engaged. Your hamstrings and quads are engaged. Big lift through the hips. 1 more full breath here. When you exhale, untuck the shoulders first. Like your spine is a pearl necklace, gently lay it 1 pearl at a time back down onto the floor. Awesome. Spread your feet as wide as your yoga mat and then drop the knees from side to side. Very good. We're going to do a brief Shavasana. Traditionally in Ashtanga, it's corpse pose, legs long, arms long. If you are craving a different resting pose today, go ahead and take that. It could be legs up the wall. It could be butterfly. Maybe it's knees together, feet planted. Listening to yourself breathe, practicing that Ujjayi breath for about 1 minute. Please continue to rest. I'm going to end class with the closing mantra, followed by 3 rounds of Om. Your job is simply to sit back and listen. Svasti prajabhyaha paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha ko brahmnehebhyaha shubhamastu nityam lokaha samastaha sukhino bhavantu. The light in me bows to the light within you. Namaste.